SpaceX Starlink Global Roaming is here. Skip the waiting list and get Starlink today. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside. It's so good, that smokiness of the lap song. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech day. It is a Starlink day. Something amazing just happened. Starlink just added yet another, service. Now we know they have residential service and business service and maritime service for boats, and then aviation service, and of course, best effort service, so on and so forth. RV, there's a lot of different services available already, and that's probably one of the reasons why it's going so damn slow. Anyways, they've added yet another service, and this service is called Global Roaming. Now, we've heard about the roaming service where you can actually take your antenna, strap it to a vehicle and drive with it. And now you can have that service on the go, so to speak, while you're moving, right? Well, we have something similar to that. Now, this is called global roaming. And what it is the means for you to take your Starlink anywhere on the planet. Now, some people are going to say, wow, this is kind of amazing. What this means is if I can get this today, I should be able to just bypass that waiting list I've been on for a couple of years. And the answer to that is kind of yes and kind of no, and I want to get into that today. But before I do, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. They are free. Go over to JCristina.com/books. I'll put a link maybe over here. Once again, JCristina.com/books. Also, if you get anything out of this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. That'll be very helpful. And if you're not subscribed as of yet, subscribe. And then click this little button over here and then click all. So when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. And if you want to get more Starlink content, I made a Starlink playlist just for you. If you click right here, there's about 120 Starlink only videos specific to Starlink. So if you're here just for Starlink, there you go. Now, everything else in my vlog is going to be photo and video and general tech, but Starlink, I kind of segregated it off because there's a lot of you that have come to me for Starlink. So there you go. Also, I'm going to be putting together a Starlink only podcast. People have been asking me for a podcast just for Starlink because they want to hear this content, but they don't have time to watch it. They want to just be able to stick it in their ears and listen. So once again, a podcast is coming. Give me a couple of weeks. I'm working on it right now, but instead of going live with just one or two podcasts, I'm going to take the entire 120 videos that I've done, and I'm going to inject them into this podcast database. So you'll be able to go back and listen to anything that I have done on Starlink through this podcast. So it should be fun. And then going forward, all of the videos that I do here on YouTube that are audio worthy will end up in that podcast. Also, if you just want to say thank you for my hard work on this channel, there's a little thank you button down there. You could use that, but if you don't, that's okay too. I would rather have you a member of the channel. So consider becoming a member. And finally, if you're looking for a VPN, we're currently using PureVPN. PureVPN will provide you 250-bit encryption, basically military grade, as well as port forwarding and in static IP and all kinds of goodness. The kind folks over there at PureVPN gave me a link. That link will give you up to 80% off. So check down below in the pinned comment as well as the description. Anyways, let's get right into this. Now, I was reading a few articles on many different platforms. One of them was PC Magazine, and they were talking about this global roaming thing. And I think that it's really fascinating. And like I said before, it could be really powerful for a lot of you guys. People in the United States that travel a lot, as well as the folks that are listening to me in other countries that are looking for Starlink and can't get it or have been on a waiting list for like 2 years. Well, that waiting list is kind of over if you just want to pay up a little extra dinero. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. So a few people wrote into PC Magazine and sent them over an email that came directly from Starlink. And this just happened like yesterday. I want to read this email to you and then kind of go through it with you. So this is, once again, I think really important here. It says, Starlink Global Roaming Service. You are invited to try Starlink Global Roaming Service, which allows Starlink to connect from almost anywhere on land in the world. Once again, quote, on land. This is not maritime. This is not aviation. On land, you'll be able to use this service. It goes on. Global roaming makes use of Starlink's intersatellite link, aka space lasers, to provide connectivity around the globe. Now, I've talked to you guys about this for a long time now, right? I said as we see more and more version 1.5s and version 2.0s up there in LEO, or low Earth orbit, with these lasers, these communication lasers that allow them to link together, we are going to develop this massive, as I called it, a new internet, so to speak. An internet that will be able to function all outside of the planet, right? Extraterrestrial instead of terrestrial. All around, connecting those satellites together and allowing people to communicate around the world at the speed of light. And I also said that they were going to launch up some larger satellites that will be like NOCs, or network operation centers, so they don't have to bounce the signal back to the ground to these POPs as often. Now, POPs are point of presence. We all need the ground stations that get the data from us and send it back from the satellites. That's okay, but those POPs, or those point of presence, might start going the way of the dinosaur as they begin to put them up into LEO. Now, of course, this is my speculation. That doesn't mean that it will happen. But what we do see here is their space lasers, as they call it, are being used now. Intersatellite laser communication. Once again, sending signals, sending data at the speed of light. It's basically like fiber optics in space, right? You're sitting in a vacuum using lasers. They're even quicker than here on Earth. My understanding. Anyways, let's continue. As this is new technology, you can expect Starlink's typical high-speed, low-latency service intermixed with brief periods of poor connectivity or none at all. However, this will improve dramatically over time. So what they're saying is if you're like on the planet somewhere that doesn't have a POP near you or a ground station near you, or there is not a lot of satellites flying over your area as of right now, you're going to find yourself with some intermittent service. That's just the way it is. But when there's a satellite overhead, you are going to get, as they call it, low latency, extremely high speed connectivity. They continue with, the price for global roaming is $200 per month for the service and $599 for the Starlink kit. Now, the $599 is exactly what you're going to pay for any kit. All right, it's the same price. Now, I spent $499 because I got it back coming out of beta a year plus ago, whereas today you're paying $599 plus $110 per month. Now, this is $200 a month, $90 more. But once again, it is global roaming. We'll get into more of that in just a second. If you are not fully satisfied with global roaming, you can return it for a full refund of the hardware within 30 days. Service can be paused or canceled at any time. See full list of terms here. Now, that's the exact same thing happens with all of the roaming plans or RV. You can pause them and unpause them at any time, and it doesn't affect your system, so to speak. There could be some effects, but I got into that in another video over here talking about leaving your system off for too long. Anyways, watch that. At this time, payment for global roaming is only available in United States dollars. If you are based outside of the United States, you will also be responsible for acting as the importer of record for the Starlink kit, which may include the payment of customs duties and import taxes, if required. Global roaming services are contingent on regulatory approval. Find a list of authorized territories on the Starlink map. Let me bring up the map real quick, and let's talk about this a little bit because this is interesting also. So this is the map, and as you can see, you have light blue areas, medium blue, and then dark blue. The dark blue is the coming soon. This medium blue means that there is a waiting list, all right? Now, what I find interesting here is since it is a global roaming type of setup, and you can get service basically anywhere on the planet, that means that let's say if you're here in Libya And we know Italy and Sicily does have SpaceX Starlink available to them, not even on a waiting list, but available. That means if you were here in Libya and you had the SpaceX Global Roaming Service, what that means is you would be able to use Starlink in this area. And that's all that it would do is it would bounce the data from satellite to satellite and then finally to maybe a ground station in Sicily and then bounce it back to you. So with this global roaming, what they're saying is you can get it in any of these areas that are even on a waiting list or coming soon. So the article finalizes with, participating in global roaming will not impact your place in line for residential service. To participate in global roaming service, please fill out the survey below. By placing your order, you agree to Starlink's terms of service for global roaming. Now, in the PC Magazine article, they highlighted two people that wrote in that sent over this email. And one said, I put in a deposit for Starlink over 2 years ago, and I got this mail yesterday. That is in reference to the email that I just read to you. And they said that they were based in Greenland. Now, if we go back to this map real quick, we can see that Greenland is up here right next to Canada, and it is dark blue. What that means is there's absolutely no service, or it's coming soon, but yet it is now available through global roaming. So that's really big, because now these folks are going to be able to use global roaming to get service where they were never able to get before. And it's like this person said, hey, I'm in Greenland and I've been waiting for service for the last 2 years. Now, the second person that was highlighted in the PC Magazine article said this, quote, I believe that's the way for Starlink to get people to use the service worldwide without having to fight with government approval. Now, that sounds all good, but that kind of doesn't make sense. It kind of does and kind of doesn't. The reason why it might not make sense, and I don't think that they're going to be able to circumvent or try to circumvent government authority. They might, but the reason being is in that email, it said this, global roaming services are contingent on regulatory approval. Find a list of authorized territories on the Starlink map. So what they're saying is this isn't going to bypass, or let's say, for example, if you're in Iran and Iran says, no, we don't want Starlink. You might be able to use Starlink with the global service in Iran, but we're not authorizing you to do so. It's contingent upon this regulatory approval from the different territories, as they call them, or countries, right? But if you are, for example, in the United States and you purchased one of these systems, these global roaming systems, and you now pack that up with you, you are now able to go to Greenland, let's say, and most likely have Starlink service with you. Also, if you are now traveling to Libya, most likely you're going to have Starlink service, even though it says coming soon and there's no Starlink service as of right now there. Now that's really massive, especially for any of you globetrotters out there that travel a lot. We know that Starlink has a nice little case that you can buy online through their shop. Matter of fact, maybe I'll put a link to their shop over here. But you can buy one of these cases, put your Starlink in it, and then take it with you on a plane, wherever. And if you have this global roaming service, you can use it anywhere. That is quite powerful. That is amazing. Remember, you are spending $200 per month for this, but the kit is still the same price. It's still $599. And you're paying $90 more, but with the ability to take it anywhere. It's almost like a global roaming type of plan for your phone, right? Think about that. You know, you can get international plans. They're very expensive where you can take it into any country and use that phone, but you're going to pay some cha-chang for it. So I think $90 to have full access to Starlink with that unlimited data, quote unquote, minus the caps. We can get into that once again in another video over here. But with that unlimited data anywhere on the planet, anytime, that is very powerful. And in locations that are currently not available at all, coming soon, according to them on the map, like Greenland or anywhere else that you see those dark areas. The other thing that I'm wondering here, and we don't know as of yet, but if one of you guys find out, let us know in the comments below, because we're sharing here, right? This isn't just about me, some talking head. It's about all of us just learning from this stuff, right? What happens if you are on a waiting list for Starlink for the last 2 years and you haven't got it, and you're like in Missouri somewhere, and when you look at the map, it says waiting list and you still are not getting it, and it's saying that you're 6 months out? What happens if you get this service? Now, once again, you could get best effort service most likely in that area, even though it's a waiting list and you're going to get slower speeds. But what happens if you get this global roaming service for an extra $90? Can you use it in the United States and then take that all over the world with you? Because if that's the case, for an extra $90, if you are going to be traveling on a regular basis, you don't really need to even wait anymore. Just simply get this service and then take it with you everywhere, right? So once again, if you're going to stay put in Missouri, then of course get best effort and get an RV and spend $125, $135 a month instead of the $190. But if you are going to be moving out of the country a lot, in and out, traveling, this is a really powerful program. Now, the bad side of this that I see is that, like I said at the beginning, what happens to us? What happens to all the people that have residential and business and have full-blown Starlink service that have been impacted by slower speeds and latency and absolutely abysmal customer service? Fix it. Fix it. What happens to us, right? Are we going to continue to get slower and slower speeds because there's a finite amount of data available, right? In another video, I said if you have 12 eggs and there's 15 people that want one, what do? You can only give 12 people the egg. Or you could chop an egg in half, and if you do, it gets messy. And that's exactly what's been happening lately. It's been getting messy. People are getting pissed. So I think while this is a really powerful, an amazing move for SpaceX Starlink, and I think it's going to make them an ass load of money, I think that it could possibly affect all the people that currently have SpaceX Starlink. What are your thoughts on it? Also, if you are that globetrotter and maybe you work or have business in all different countries and you're constantly flying from country to country to country, is this type of service exciting to you, where now you have full internet access from anywhere on the planet? I tell you what, as a production type of person that always has to upload to the internet a ton of video, to have a service like this anywhere on the planet, that opens up a lot of possibilities. Trust me. So I think that this is very powerful. And I want to know, like I said, what you think. Is it something that you're interested in? What do you think about the ramifications of seeing this come to fruition? Also, do you think that I could be right where we're going to see a NOC or a network operations center in LEO, so that we don't have to send the data down to Earth very often? We can keep it in LEO, bouncing it from satellite to satellite using lasers, once again, at the speed of light, in a vacuum, extremely quickly. Anyways, down below, let's have this discussion. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have, throw the video a thumbs up. That would be very helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. Click this little button over here so when I go live or if a new video comes out, you'll be notified of it immediately. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.